Hi, John Miller here with another short video on the subject of jazz time basics. At the end of the last segment, I talked about quarter notes in the ride, perhaps supporting that with the bass drum, and hi-hat on 2 and 4. Next up, we'll get the snare drum into the picture. You can play 2 and 4 backbeats with the snare as well as a starting point. Something like this. Obviously, if you've played other styles before, this is going to be familiar territory. Snare on 2 and 4. Sometimes you lay into it with a rim shot, often you don't, often you leave it out. But cross stick is another great option. Another very idiomatic thing to do is to play the cross stick just on beat 4. Or perhaps just on beat 2. Here's beat 4. Okay, so now we've got 3 or even 4 limbs happening, so we're kind of fully engaged. Still playing really basic stuff, but honestly, in this kind of context where the bass is walking, that's, like I said, so much of what is required of you. But if we want to go on and do what drummers usually do, or what you might be seeing on the jazz drum charts that you're reading in your jazz band, if you're in that kind of context, then you're almost always going to be seeing a jazz ride pattern written out as in a chart. And so this is what jazz drummers usually do. It's sort of the stereotypical or the go-to rhythm that we usually play. So you hear quarter notes really strong in the jazz ride pattern, but it also contains skip beats and is based on a triplet subdivision. So this is maybe a little bit beyond the realm of complete crash course basics, but lots of drummers have heard the jazz ride already, even if they haven't played it. It's kind of a commonly known thing. It's out there. So I'm going to break things down and talk about triplets and work up to the jazz ride in its full form. So slow pulse, 1, 2, 3, 4, triplet subdivision, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's dividing each pulse, very slow pulse, into 3 quicker pulses evenly. So that's an important point with triplets. A lot of people think that any kind of 3-note combination is a triplet. In this context, that doesn't really apply. We're looking for even division of the beats. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Okay, so what the jazz ride pattern has is skip beats played on the 3rd beat of the triplet of beats 2 and 4 in the bar 4/4 time. So that sounds like this. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. So you need to know what the triplet subdivision is in order to correctly place that 3rd beat of the triplet. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. So it's a really good idea to slow things down and practice that while counting out loud like that, keeping the triplet grid or triplet subdivision firmly in mind so that you're placing that skip beat in the right spot. But as you can hear, 1, 2, you still hear quarter notes really strong out of that line. So that's why I say as a starting point, quarter notes are a great option. But the full jazz ride has these skip beats. Now if you've played the shuffle before, this is really no big deal because the shuffle also has skip beats on the 3rd beat of the triplet of all the beats of the bar. Something like this. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Faster. I switched the counting because it's hard to say triplet. Hard to say one triplet, two triplet, three triplet, four triplet at that tempo. So yeah, I like to count 1, 2, 3, 4 when it gets into the medium and quicker ranges. So yeah, shuffle and then jazz ride. So that beat played on the ride cymbal, added to all the other stuff we've been doing, will give you something like this. Already you're starting to have a few more options as far as sounds you can be putting out, and you're now putting out the triplet subdivision that is usually called upon when you're playing a swing feel. Great. So next thing we'll talk about is the two feel, which is really similar. It's just that now the bass line is in half notes. So something that sounds like this. A doo, doo, doo. Do 1, 2, 3, 4. Do do. So 2 notes per bar, hence the term two feel instead of four feel. So usually, good place to start with this would be the hi-hat. So anyway, quarter notes would be okay, but the jazz ride would be better on the hi-hat. So let's try that. And now it's pretty customary to also close the hi-hat with the foot on beats 2 and 4. And then that closing kind of creates an open position on beats 1 and 3. Sounds like this. So the move with the foot is more of a heel down technique than the left foot, because you're only opening the cymbals a little bit. You actually want to get it so the cymbals are rattling together on the open sound. And you also want to time it, to be completely idiomatic. You want to time it so that you're getting the skip beat and the downbeat as being both open sounds. I'll play that slow so you hear what I'm talking about. So that can take a little while to get comfortable with, and if you sound like this instead, it's not a big deal, it's just something to work on. Try to avoid that. Okay, so that ends segment 2 of Jazz Time Basics. We covered 2 feel, 4 feel, and a little bit of what to do with the left hand, and really got all the limbs going. So in the third video, we'll talk about some syncopations for the bass drum and snare drum. Thanks for watching, and see you in a sec.